What up, 5 o'clock hustlers? Welcome back to another episode of the 5 o'clock hustle podcast. This is episode 10. Sorry if I sound a little nasally today. This winter's flu has finally grabbed a hold of me, but we're going to get through this together. Now, before I introduce today's guest, I have a quick announcement to make, and it may or may not be inspired by said guest, but don't read into that. 5 o'clock hustle now has a weekly newsletter. And that'll keep you up to date on any new episodes. There'll be bonus content. For instance, in next week's newsletter for episode 11, there's a coupon code that gets you 50% off everything in our store. And that's a pretty rare deal, so you probably don't want to miss out on it. So go on our website and subscribe. You won't regret it. Now, I know what you're thinking. What guest could have inspired the creation of a 5 o'clock hustle newsletter? You might not have been thinking that, but we'll say you were. Well, that would be none other than Grace Lancaster. Grace is an event coordinator for The Hustle. Now, their company has an awesome newsletter. It's freaking hilarious, super informational, but they also put on some badass year-round events, including the upcoming 2X conference that's going to 7 U.S. cities this year. 2X is an all-women speaker series that has some of the smartest and most brilliant, kick-ass women in the business community coming to tell their stories with their 10-minute allotted time frame. I hope to make the LA event in March, and I highly suggest you go and check out if they're coming to a city near you. You can find the link in the episode page for more info, and that's 5o'clockhustle.com/2X. It's pretty easy. Grace was a ton of fun to have on. She went into detail about her experience as the Hustle's event coordinator and how she actually used her experience throwing awesome New Year's Eve parties to help her with her position at the Hustle. She also told us some great stories about a few women that she booked for the event, so if you want a sneak preview of what's to come, keep listening. All right, everybody, without further ado, let's get into this episode. Remember to leave a review on iTunes and subscribe. Keep hustling, everybody, and Dre, start the show. 5 o'clock hustle.
5 o'clock hustle, bro.
5 o'clock.
5 to 8, 5 to 12, 5 to 3 until you get back up the next morning.
Every week I got a new idea.
And that's what it always is, right? It's crazy.
5 o'clock.
I was doing that in 2005, but everybody thought it was weird.
5 o'clock.
Thus, the side hustle was created.
5 o'clock hustle podcast.
Man, they're having so much fun.
So, how's all the planning coming for? And we'll dive into, what it is and everything. But the 2X event, how's everything going?
It's good. I mean, it's a lot of logistics and a lot of different things to keep track of. But today I ordered some temporary tattoos.
Oh, cool! That's cool.
For our events, which are going to be pretty cool. So yeah, it's minor things like that, and then I have phone calls all day long with all of our speakers, and the list goes on and on. But it's great.
Sure. So just to get everybody on the same page, why don't you just run us by what your company does and tell us about the 2X event.
Yeah, sure. So the company is The Hustle, and we're a media company, and our main product is our Hustle daily email that we send out to our. Thank you. I love it too.
Yeah, we've quickly become fan favorites. Not fan favorites, but we like it. We really enjoy it.
Yeah, we have a pretty strong community of people who are just avid readers.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that's our daily email, and then on top of that, we also host events. And last year there was a bunch of events. There's I think 5 types, but this year we're just doing 2. And so one of them is 2X, which we're having a whole series of, and then HustleCon is our big conference in June.
Yeah, that's because I think what the reason I reached out to you in the first place was the HustleCon thing. It really caught my eye because obviously 5 o'clock hustle, the hustle go.
Sure.
I was like, hey, this looks like a really neat thing. And then I learned about this whole 2X event. Yeah. So it for what it looks like, it's an all women event. Does that make it exclusive to women attendees as well, or can anyone go?
No, not at all. Just the speakers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really awesome. So tell us more about the event. Like, what kind of people do you have speaking? I know you're going to a lot of different cities.
Yeah, so we're going to 7 cities and doing 15 events. And each one of the events has its own lineup of women, and those women are like experts in their fields, leaders at their companies, founders of their own companies, just like women who are killing it pretty much. And so
that's awesome.
they come from a variety of industries, backgrounds. They're all different ages. Like, it's a very diverse set of women, but they all have awesome stories to tell.
So who decides that? Like, is that one of your tasks
Yeah.
in your role? Is like, oh, you're like, damn, she's killing it. Like, let's get her, and then you go after it.
Like, that's literally what it is. Like, I
that's neat.
just troll the internet for dope women, and then I hit them up and hope for the best. And crazy enough, like, the response rate is amazing, and so many of the women will respond like, oh my God, I'm so honored you thought of me, like all this. And I'm like, you're honored? Like, I can't believe you're responding to this email right now, but like, thank you.
That's kind of exactly how I feel when I'm reaching out to people to come on the show. But
it's score.
So is there anybody, are you going to be able to make it out to a lot of these events? How does that work?
Oh yeah, I'm going to all of them.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in particular you're excited to hear speak?
Yeah, I mean, I've already had conversations with a lot of the women, and some of them have started like running their stories by me, and there's just some really good ones. But I went last week to meet with a woman who works at Bleacher Report. She's She's a journalist named Adina Andrews, and she was just like the coolest, most personable person, and like started telling me just stories about like, you know, Serena Williams and all these athletes that she's interviewed and all these things. And like, I was like, oh God, you have such a cool life. So I think she's gonna have a cool story to share. There's also a woman from Oakland. So I'm originally from Oakland. And she owns a restaurant that's like, you know, famous Oakland restaurant, but she's expanding into multiple locations this year. Like, she's going to be in the new Warriors Stadium, and she's going to be in SFO and in the Ferry Building and all this stuff. And so she's also on Top Chef this season. And so I'm pretty excited that I was able to lock her down and have her come tell her story just as like a, you know, Oakland lady, and build her business up from the ground. So
well, that's really awesome, and I'm trying to figure it out in my schedule to figure out how I can make it to your event in Los Angeles.
You just go.
It's so close. Oh yeah, I know. I just go. But
just do it.
No, I'm looking into it. I'm going to try to make it work. But yeah, I just want to hear a little bit about how you got your start at the Hustle Co. Is it the Hustle Co. or is it just the Hustle? I know the logo.
It's just the Hustle.
The Hustle. Okay.
Yeah.
The hustle.co is the website.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Tell us more about yourself. You know, before that, how did you get to start working there? And tell us about your experience thus far.
Sure. So, like all my other jobs, I got it because I knew someone.
Cool.
I had a friend who was working out of the office, and he heard that they were hiring an event coordinator, and he passed it along. Before that, though, I was the office manager at this big PR agency, and you know, naturally there was a lot of event planning that had to do with that role, but it wasn't, you know, totally events. There was lots of like administrative, operational things that I had to do.
The fun stuff, right?
Huh?
You said the fun stuff, right?
Oh, all the really fun stuff. Yeah, like taking care of adults. But and I was just kind of getting tired of that stuff, and I had you know, just realized that events was really what I wanted to do full time. And I had also been doing events in my, like on the side. So I'd been hosting these like big New Year's Eve parties every year that were like really fun, and I was super excited to do every year, and it like made me money, and it was just like I totally enjoyed it, and I just kept being like, why am I not just doing this all the time? So
Right, sure.
Just so you know, this is usually the point when we cut you off and we blare that and then we go side hustle alert.
Yay,
Yeah, we do that a lot.
No, but that's cool. We rock that because we interview the right people. Okay, so go on. Sorry, I had to stop you real quick.
I love a good air horn. So yeah, I was just, it was very clear to me that it was time to move on. And I interviewed with them, and obviously the Hustle is like a startup. There's like 18 people that work there. It's a small company. And so I was nervous going into it, like, what's the deal with this company? But after interviewing with all of the people there, I was just like, wow, could this be my dream job? It's like I've never felt that way before. I've never felt like I'm so passionate about this. Like I've liked all my jobs and I've thought that I'm good at them and I like learned a lot from them. But I like after interviewing at the Hustle, I was like, this was meant to be. So yeah, it's been awesome. I love it.
That's so incredible because, like we spend a lot of our time interviewing people where their end destination is maybe one step away from where you're at right now. But right now, but you don't feel the need. You're getting what you want out of your passion and you're doing it. So that's really cool to hear. That's good for you. You saw something, you kind of created it for yourself and that you were doing the side gig and you enjoyed it for the New Year's parties and everything. And then you're like, boom, turns out I don't have to build from the ground up. I can, align with someone else that kind of shares the same vision that I do. That's really neat.
Exactly. And the nice thing about the Hustle is I feel like they're in a really good place in terms of they are fairly new, but they have such a clear brand and mission and voice, and like they know how to do things right. And so like coming in, I had this groundwork laid, but they are also so open to creativity and like new ideas and stuff. So I've never been so creative in my whole life. Like they're just like, yeah, try this out, see how it goes. Like, and that's been awesome too. I've just been doing like a lot of writing. I've been creating so much social content, which wow. I did not know was going to be a thing that I did, but I'm doing it and it's cool.
like going on podcasts, for instance.
It's a chill podcast.
just out of curiosity, do you do these like periodically?
Podcasts?
Yeah.
No.
Are we your first?
You're my first.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we're honored. That's really cool. Figure why not?
We'll try to make it a pleasant experience.
This is getting weird. That's so cool. Can I ask, like, so as far as the Hustle goes, like, how does the company make money? Like, how do you, I don't know if that may be too personal, but I'm sure you can share a little bit. Is it mostly off like admission, like tickets, or, is it through all like the backers? I saw you guys have a pretty nice, list of people that back you and that believe in the company like you do. So I'm just kind of curious about, it being a startup, and 18 people isn't actually very small for a startup. That's a good amount of people, a lot of intelligence, creativity. So yeah, how does it make the money to make sure that you can come on all these great podcasts?
For sure. Who pays the bills?
Right.
We sell ads in our newsletter. So there's ads in there. And then our events, definitely sponsorships for the events. Those are the two biggies.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah. And I asked just because, a lot of people listening, not only are we trying to get them out to your events and everything, but they're curious. They hear startup, they hear someone that has found their true calling and passion. They're like, damn, how do I make money off of that? So it's just good to layer that in a little bit.
Totally.
But we don't want to focus on the money though.
Right. But that's also like HustleCon. That's exactly what that conference is. That's like these people who want to create a startup and want to, be an entrepreneur. That conference is exactly for those people. It's like educational thing about how to start a company, the non-technical aspects of it. And so it's people who have successfully created companies sharing their tips and tricks and educating those people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, we're definitely in good company.
Go to HustleCon.
Well, okay, so the Hustle Coast, that's coming up in the summer?
It's in June, yeah.
In June. So, but coming up now. Let's get back to let's get back to the 2X event.
Yes.
I'm particularly curious about the happenings down here in Los Angeles because it's local to us. But yeah, what else can you tell us about this event? Like what's the history behind how this event started?
That's a good question.
Sure. So HustleCon is actually the way that the hustle started. So before the email, there was this conference that our founder put on, and then after that, he started the email newsletter, and then started with more events, and all of them were events to educate our community on business related things. And so we'd ask founders and CEOs to come and speak at the events, and they all ended up, or a large number of them ended up being men very often. And so last year kind of was decided that
someone was like, fuck that, we need to change things here.
Yeah, enough is enough,
Sure.
Yeah.
So it was clear that there was a space needed for women leaders to come together to share their stories. So last March was our first 2X in San Francisco, and it just, was amazing, and we had such good feedback, and it was really clear that there really was a need for something like this.
Sure.
And so, there's three total events last year, 2 in San Francisco and 1 in LA. But I think the really unique part of 2X, because obviously there's like a ton of conferences or women's events or whatever, but this one is unique because it focuses on storytelling, which I think is such an effective way of people sharing things, is to like be like share personal things, share mistakes you've made or hardships you've had, or like really funny situations you've been in, or whatever. It's just like a really easy way to connect with people. And so that's what we have our speakers do is we give them 10 minutes tops, and they tell a story about some pivotal moment in their life that has affected their journey and brought them to where they are today. And
now, that's awesome. Is the 10-minute thing, I mean, what's the thinking behind that? Is that because like you could just go for hours and hours, so you got to make sure they're only sharing one thing?
Pretty much. And we find that that's like a good amount of time to keep the audience engaged. And like you said, like these women are CEOs of companies, like they have a million things they could say, but we're like, nope, keep it to 10 minutes. And so it keeps like a concise story.
Short, sweet, suspenseful. I like it.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
It all seems really timely with the current social climate in terms of, women in the workplace and things of that sort. Has that kind of been a platform? Has it become a platform for that kind of talk, or is it trying to direct it more? Yeah, that's kind of. I
mean, it's the thing is like we keep it business focused, so we don't do anything political, and that's because that's just never been anything we report on, or our events are just they're non-technical, non-political. Right. So we celebrate women who have done awesome things, and it just like happens to be that there's just like so much of that going on right now. So it all kind of worked out pretty well that, obviously the climate right now is calling for safe spaces for women to come together, and that's what we're able to create, and it feels really special.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be really empowering for all of the people attending, and as well as the people who get to come and speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I always find myself like, I don't know. So I find myself like reading all the different articles about, women leaders, and I find them so much more intriguing. I guess it's because they're just so much more empowering than the male leaders, because the male is like, you know, for many years, I guess that was kind of the norm, as you expected. You know, whoever thought we would have had a woman, a woman running for president or something like that.
Right.
It's you know, this is definitely, times are changing, and I'm so much more captivated. And I'm so much stronger a supporter of female leadership and women leaders. And man, it's really important what you guys are doing. And the other thing that kind of, when you said it, you guys stay out of the politics. That has to be so hard, because there are so many groups that are just looking for anything to latch onto, and rightfully, you know, like, it makes sense that they're looking for that and something to support their various movements. But like, you must get it all the time, right? I mean, you have to be getting these groups approaching you guys all the time.
Totally. Well, the one thing that I noticed that like I just wasn't expecting. Because I was asked to, you know, help with social media and to like, you know, create content and post more stuff. And so, and all the stuff that I'm being asked to post is women-centered things, celebrating women. And so we like, it was like 2 days before we were going to launch the event series. And it was also when Oprah did her big acceptance speech. And I posted the video of Oprah on our social media, like whatever, Facebook or something. And I was like, Oprah's speech has us excited for a big announcement coming up. Like literally nothing about presidency or anything. And we had all these people like, I don't understand what this is all about. Like, she'd be a horrible president. And I was just like, oh my God, I feel so personally hurt she had a great speech. Like I said nothing about her running for president.
You started that rumor.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just like, okay, this is going to happen. Like, you're posting to a large community. Yeah. There are those people. But I was also just like, oh my God, the trolls of the internet are just absurd.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it almost overwhelming? Because that's one thing that, you know, like one thing we always preach on here, and I think you guys have preached a few times too, is like, there's no time for haters. Like, it's, you know, especially with the hustle or the grind or whatever it is you want to call it, like, you don't have time for people that are working against positivity and against productivity. So like, totally. How, you know, is it really often that you deal with these people, and how do you deal with them? We actually talked about this last week in our episode. We were talking about the fact that there's a lot of different ways to deal with these people. So how have you done it? How have you been so successful at it so far?
I think that we definitely pick our battles for sure. Like, there'll definitely be, you know, like a comment or something that comes in and gets shared on Slack amongst the office. And it's kind of like, okay, who's going to deal with this? How should we say this? And it's like mostly jokes. And then like, you know, one person will kind of, you know, either just delete the comment or, you know, respond in some way. But there was,
finish him.
And for the most part, we try to like stay away from arguing with them. But there was one time that something got posted on our wall with Richard Branson and Selma Hayek, I think, when he came on like Conan. It was like 10 years ago, and it's just this like really creepy, like he like pulls her onto his lap multiple times, and she's like super not into it, and it's just kind of this like gross interaction. And we posted this and was like, oh, this sucks, whatever. And then, you know, there's like some guy who chimes in like, well, it looks like she was enjoying it, she's laughing. And so like the women in the office were like, oh hell no. And so we all just from our personal Facebooks like went in and wrote like very thoughtful responses to him that like felt very educational, just like for our own well-being. Just had to get involved.
Right. I gotta tell you, my company, we did, I think last year we did a promotion with Neil Patrick Harris, and it was a picture of him and his husband, and we were so shocked by the gross comments that were coming up, and I mean, I couldn't tell you. So it was either the CEO or the president of my company had to write me over the weekend. I think I had a few beers, and I saw this guy commenting, and he was just a piece of shit. And you could tell he was up to no good. And I shouldn't have said anything, because actually when you comment on Facebook, you're just boosting
It's what they want.
You're boosting it in the ranks of the comments.
Totally.
But you're giving it more visibility. So I wrote like the most unprofessional thing ever. I mean, it wasn't the most, but for me, I like calm, cool, and collected. It was he got a piece. And it was stupid, but so kudos to you for and your whole company for doing something that is so different and really setting the bar, but also keeping it cool and doing it right, I guess, to keeping it professional. It's pretty neat.
Yep. Yeah.
So tell us more about your day to day. I know you kind of touched on it, but like I'm really curious about the whole event coordinating thing.
Yeah.
So what can you tell me about the whole process of like all the things that you do?
Sure. So it's pretty much just me and my manager on the events team. And so we try to split things up as much as possible, but day to day is, especially right now since we've launched, it's like a lot of answering emails from attendees or potential attendees, a lot of people reaching out about sponsorship opportunities. There's right now we're like doing outreach for ticket sales and like what?
The sound dropped out for a second. I was like, uh-oh, where'd you go? Yeah, continue.
And so, like I said, like I am fully responsible for all of our speakers, and right now that's like 36 women for the first couple of events, and so that's like a lot of communicating happening there and making sure everyone has what they need. Like I said, doing a big social push with a bunch of content. And then like the little details, like finding our photographer and our videographer and our people who are going to serve booze and volunteers. It's
gotta be a big undertaking, especially since you're all over the country.
Sure, it has been.
Yeah. Totally. That's definitely a new piece is having to do this all remotely. So thankfully I have a bunch of friends that are around the country, and I have used them as resources for a lot, which has been really nice. But I don't know how people did it back before computers. Like I booked multiple theaters without even looking at them, but like they have really good information online and I can like look at review, like there's like, it's a lot of, you put a lot of faith in it for sure, but it's been working out.
Your New Year's Eve party hosting experience must be helping a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just that gut instinct.
Tell me more about that. I'm a little curious. Like
throwing like cool like eyes wide shut raisers, or what are we talking about here?
Tell us about these parties. Do you still host them, by the way?
Well, I didn't this past year because I was in Tel Aviv, but the 3 years before that I did. It stemmed from, so like I said, I'm local, like I was raised here, and so during the holidays all my friends come home, and like New Year's Eve always sucks because it's either you're paying a ton of money to go somewhere that's really crowded and like cheesy and not that great, or you're just kind of like staying home or whatever. But there was always a big group of my friends that wanted to be together on New Year's and do something fun. So finally I just decided that I would like rent out a venue and host a party so that all of us could be together. And so the first year I did that, and it was the space fit like 300 people. And so it was like, just a lot of coordinating, fronting money, hoping that people bought tickets, getting the DJ, doing all that. And the first year went really well, and I learned a lot. And so then the next year I like kicked it up a notch, made it a little bit bigger, got a nicer spot. People trusted me because they knew the last year was fun. And so then the second year was awesome. And then the third year I was like, okay, let's do something a little different. Like all these bars close at 2 a.m. And like no one's ready to go home at 2 a.m. on New Year's. And so I found a spot that I could rent privately. It was like a gallery space.
Okay.
And so it gave me the freedom to like do whatever I wanted and stay as long as I wanted, but it also meant that I had to do everything. So like bring in all the booze and like any decorations, the music, the speakers, like it was a huge undertaking, and it was so much work and just like a lot of physical labor, and I like was extremely tired after all of it and all that. But like it felt like I achieved the most because I really created this event. So, so yeah, that was like, you know, definitely starting a real like name for myself in terms of events. But then, yeah, I was out of town this year, and there's no way I could plan an event on top of what I'm doing at work. So,
well, if you get it organized, we better see our invite.
Absolutely.
We'll call it the 3 a.m. hustle.
Oh yeah.
So are you sound like the type of person that looks at a blank canvas and you can see the picture you want to paint? Like that's, I mean, you know, like with event coordinating, especially taking it, you know, you took something natural and turned it into something fun, and then you took something fun and turned it into like next level, unique and creative and innovative. And that's really cool. I mean, that must be something that has helped you get to this position. I mean, were you kind of touting your personal experience when you were interviewing for this job?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that a huge part of it is like knowing how to read people and like knowing what makes people feel good at an event. And so that's always been kind of like a strong suit for me, is when I have these events, I kind of like, I know, because I've been to a lot of like really lame events that I'm like, why would anyone spend any money to come here? Everybody feels uncomfortable, you know? Yeah. Like my biggest thing about events is like creating a space that people feel really comfortable and willing to open up and willing to, you know, like meet other people. Or like with my New Year's parties, it was all people that already knew each other. So like creating this space where everybody was just having such a good time because it was something familiar, and they trusted me and knew that I like knew how to bring everyone together. So I think there's like the people aspect, and then there's obviously the like what's going on at the event and like what it looks like.
For sure. What makes me want to, yeah. I'm in, like, hearing about your background, like, and you're right. You sound like you're really good at capturing your audience, you know, and giving them what they want, what they deserve, and that makes me want to go for sure. I'm in. We're in.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead, Chris.
No, if I can't now.
Oh.
I feel weird if I want to interrupt you.
Exactly. No, I was just going to say, I mean, is there anything... It's interesting for me because, like I was saying earlier, we usually interview people that we're kind of guiding them away from their 9 to 5. Not away, it's not like an active protest, but away from their 9 to 5 and towards their 5 o'clock hustle, their side hustle. I mean, what do you feel like? Do you think about, you know, what life would be like right now for you if you just went straight after your side hustle, or like what's, you know, for you, what are the benefits to where you're at right now, and do you even consider that? I mean, I think like the alternative would be doing events on my own, and that was definitely something I thought about when I was planning to leave my last job, but like it's so risky, you know, and like you need, I just knew I wasn't ready for that. And the fact that the hustle and I share really similar like values and look at things in a really similar way, I feel like I'm able to still do kind of put my own spin and touch on things. So I don't feel like I'm being, you know, like pushed down by the company, you know, like it's very much not that. So yeah, I think like my job is so unique, and just like, it doesn't really feel like
my last few jobs, which were like, oh, I'm at work, you know, like
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, this is so fun. I'm with really fun people. We
Totally.
like do things that we all really like doing. There's like dogs in the office. We have ridiculous conversations all day. Like, it's just like it's a very cool environment. And so I don't have the desire to like go off and do my own thing right now, but like, you know, it's definitely like been an idea, you know.
Well, you lucked out. A lot of people have. I myself have issues with that. that's why we had to take all of our free time to start a podcast, I think. But
Right.
I got a question for you about this event, and it might be a tough one, maybe not. But
Okay.
have you ever like thought? Because you say they have these 10-minute speakers speaking.
Stories.
Stories. Why can't I find my words? Have you ever thought about what your 10 minutes would be?
It's like kind of, but I'm also very young. And so like a lot of these people have had really crazy things happen. But like, to be honest, my pivotal moment for sure, like just happened. And so, but like, again, like, I'm sure there'll be way more pivotal moments as I go on. I feel like this really is kind of like the beginning of my career. Even though I've been working for, you know, like multiple years, this feels like, you know, the first like big thing that's really going to push me to the next level in the future. But yeah, I think my pivotal moment, just happened. Not to get too deep, but my dad just passed away, and it was also at the same time that I was interviewing for The Hustle. And so it was kind of like this like big whirlwind of things going on, like, you know, a big loss, but then like this situation came where I was like, I've never been so sure about anything, you know? And like, it was very much like, okay, this is the beginning of the next step. And, it was very much like a moment that I know I'll look back on and be like, well, this like really, you know, horrible thing happened, but like also look at this new blossoming thing that's about to occur in your life. So I think, I mean, as of now, that would be it. That's like, you know, something, probably one of the biggest things that's kind of happened in my life up until now. And, yeah.
Sure. Like being open to opportunities and just kind of taking to heart that when one door closes, another opens, right?
Totally.
And we're sorry to hear about your loss, and that's very difficult. But you know, what is it? Adversity breeds greatness, I think.
Totally.
It's so true. You know, you're exemplary of that.
Totally. And the cool part is that, like, you know, my work ethic 100% comes from my dad. Like, if there were a hustler, it would be him. Like, this man had the widest range of jobs. Like, he started out as, like, he's been a cowboy, he's been an iron worker, he worked at the White House under the Nixon administration.
Wow.
And that was all before he started, like, his 30-year career as an attorney. You know, like, just, like, you know, paid his way through all of school, had 4 kids. You know, like, this, he just was, like, not even a real human. So, like, to like, do something like this, I think, you know, it was, like, it was so special to be able to, you know, get a job that I know that he would be, like, super pumped about. Yeah. And, like, see me working super hard, because that's exactly what he always taught us to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Just cowboys. They've absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Is there a lot of cows in Oakland?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah, no, he was not a cowboy in Oakland, but that was
alive
cool.
at that point. But
Kentucky. I'm originally from Tennessee, so I've been exposed to a little bit of that stuff. I'm only really the cow tipping. No, not much of the cowboying.
Don't broadcast that. Yeah.
Whatever. That cow deserved it. He's looking at me funny.
Chris. Okay, it was all good and positive until Jesus.
Cows.
That was
Dre,
great.
edit that out, please.
The cow was fine. The cow got it.
All right. Well, we want to give you a second. Also, just we're gonna plug away at this event because we think it's really important, and just the effort alone that you put into it, it's gonna be awesome. So there's still tickets available, right?
Yeah.
You got a lot of events, a lot of cities. So where can people go to purchase the tickets?
So you can go on our website to thehustle.co/2x, and then all of the cities will show up on the bottom, and just click whichever city you're attending, and that's where you can get tickets.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Well,
it is.
is there anything I think we try to shoot for around 40 minutes. We're about 40 minutes right now. Is there anything else that you'd like to let our audience know about the event, about other events, what they should do?
About yourself, about life. You want to speak the truth?
We can go on forever if you want. We don't care.
Man.
Words of wisdom, whatever. Get it.
I mean, yeah, I think this is definitely this event is definitely very dear to my heart, and I just think the environment that gets created inside the theater where these women are going up on stage and kind of opening themselves up to everyone is really cool and really special. And it also there's been a lot of people who have come to events that have hit us up after and been like, hearing those women talk were all I needed to quit my job and start this venture that I've been thinking about and was too scared to do, but I just did it, and thank you, I'm so happy, blah, blah, blah. So there's been lots of stories like that, which is just so powerful to know that, I've been able to have a hand in that. And one thing that I think is interesting about events is I think when people initially hear event planner, they think of weddings, or
for sure.
things like that. And that was something I totally struggled with when I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do with event planning. So I was I don't want to plan weddings. I don't want to do these cheesy things that mean nothing. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to come into a company and plan these events that means so much to people and affect people so positively and actually have a purpose and also lets me do exactly what I want to do is really special. So
it sounds like your life event planning, you are
straight up.
You know what I'm saying? That's you're making changes to people's lives. I actually read that article or some article from on the website or in the newsletter, I think it was, where there's a lot of testimonials you're saying that was all I needed was that 1 minute of that one speaker, and I'm now going after what means the world to me. So the fact that you are facilitating that event, you are planning that event for that person is sick. It's sick.
Super sick.
Super sick. We call it one word, sick.
Sick.
Well, I have to say though, I am a little disappointed.
Oh.
You know what? Because in our conversation via text, you were asking me if cursing was okay, and you didn't curse one time on this podcast.
Okay, I'm just thinking about the people who I'm going to want to have listened to this, and but I asked you that because I tend to have a pretty dirty mouth, and there was a time that I was early 20s, and I had been doing some blog writing. Uh-huh. And I write exactly how I talk. And that's, people tell me in a positive way, oh, I could totally hear your voice in this writing. But I was sitting at dinner with my dad, and he was I love that you're writing and I think it's great, but swearing doesn't make it better, And I was just but that's how I talk, Dad. God, come on.
Well,
so, I'm just trying to be a little profesh.
All right. Well, why don't you be a little unprofessional, give me one fuck yeah for the end of the podcast.
Fucking sick.
Oh, 2 words.
Boom. Every time. All right. Well, thank you so much, Grace, for coming on.
Thank you. It was awesome.
We're really
Thanks,
excited about the
guys.
event. For everyone listening, go to and check out the episode page for our for all the links and stuff that she mentioned. And yeah, you can find all of our social media stuff there too. Grace, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
All
Have a
right.
good night.
All right.
Take care.
You too.